And holding space for ourselves and for others is so important. This is something I wish I learned it in school. Like there's a lot of lessons in life that I wish they teach us in school. Tell us a little bit about holding space. What is it?
People that hold space for themselves and others, it always comes from a place of being centered. You can possibly not be able to be, for me, holding space for someone is to be present, is to understand. Sometimes holding space is just being quiet. Sometimes someone is having a full blowout, and the best thing that you can do for them and for yourself is just be quiet.
Yeah.
You know, and try to, you know, surround them with love, try to ground them from your feet. You're doing it with your mind. That's holding space, you know. And it's not being permissive or allowing people to just do what they want to do. You know, there's something sacred of calling someone forth and saying, oh, this is not okay. This doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
You know?
But calling out someone and say that that's not for me is also have to come from a place that you are grounded as well. Otherwise, it's not effective.
It's true. And most of the times you wouldn't really know. If I'm saying that doesn't work for me from an offended place, that's coming from an ego. That's wrong. That's right. You know, but we don't have to say yes for everything that's thrown at us. You know, like I always say, people offer feelings on a tray. Whenever you get something from a tray, then it's yours. That's it. You can always choose to drop it or don't pick it, but the offerings will be there through your day. Many offerings are going to happen through your day, right, left, and center. Strangers offer you things. We don't have to keep on picking from everybody's tray, right? It's that 5 seconds of like taking a breath and thinking, okay, why would I do this? What's in there for me? What's in there for that person? What is the highest purpose of me accepting this? And to be frank, I do this in very small scale in my life. From accepting having coffees with people, I would stop and I would ask myself that. Otherwise, I can get so excited, you know, and I'll be chatting to people all day, and I'm thinking, oh, but you know, what was that all about?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's something tied to what I recently finally understand. My lesson is to where am I putting my energy? So when you're talking about picking others people's from their tray, I in exchange my energy. So do I want my energy to be tray in their plate? Is that worth it? Is it what align with me, right? Does it make sense?
Absolutely. And now I think you might be on a place that the more you practice, it's going to be something very intuitive, that you're capable of saying a yes or no very fast, that you don't need. And if I'm not very grounded, I would need to say, can I call you back in 5 minutes? Because my instinct would say yes. I'm like, that doesn't serve me. Because maybe if I take a nap now, it's much better for Adriana than saying yes. And that makes me reflect back when you asked me, what were the biggest learnings? What are my struggles still? I'm totally into service. This is what I feel it's my life mission, and I do it with great joy. And people say, wow, you see a lot of people per day. Isn't it exhausting? And I would reply, what? I'm paid to talk. I always felt super blessed that I could use my intellect in ways that make you think differently. So that's what I think I am. I'm a perspective person. I manage perspectives. And I always say this, the more perspectives you are, the more you are into freedom. If you have one choice, you will start, because that's the only way you can see, right? So perspective really gives you the sensation of choice. There's no choice, there's no freedom. But one of the things that I noticed I still struggle is to count in this process, is to make sure that I don't give what I don't have, you know? So coaches love that, which is something about them that they have to look into, is to make other people priority. You know, it's like, yes, but no. You know, so this is something that I'm still learning. I'm much better, but like, I'm much better, but there's a way to go, I think.
Yes, but no. And I can see you play such a big role in your community. Can you tell me a little bit about what it means for you? What is the meaning of community for you?
So, you know, this is a word that I have been this word has made much more sense for me after I moved to Bali. If there's an example of what that word means, you will understand here. I never really understood when people said, and their community, because I think, where is the community of all the places that I have lived before? They were neighbors. That doesn't make a community.
Yeah.
And what's so special about Bali is they live in extremely tight communities. So why I feel there's such a calm energy in this place Is it because of religion? Maybe. Is it because spiritual practice that they do in a daily basis? Maybe. But I put it down a lot to the sense of community. Something that caught my attention really in the beginning, you'll never see a Balinese child crying. And I'm thinking, this is, one day it just dawned on me, like, this is weird. You see all these blonde little expat babies, blah, blah, crying on this. You never see physical violence towards children, public, and you never see a Balinese child crying. And I'm thinking, okay, why does that happen? They live in communities. They will never cry because there's always an arm to pick you up. Why would you cry? If it's not from your mom and your mom had enough, so she needs to go for a walk in the market, you'll stay in the house with your grandmother, with your auntie, with your baby cousins. There's a sense of belonging in those communities, which we don't understand. We lost that. We wanted our freedom, our independence of you do you, I do me. But we forget that when we make those choices, the pick me up and the sense of belonging is something that we sit in therapy to regain after. So I think this is something that I learned about how communities, and in a true sense of support. I don't know how, is there any of you that know? And you always, and even if all of them go, nah, we sit together, we all don't know. It's comforting for me not to feel alone, right? Yeah. They have this very strong, in a super tight way, that of course has ups and downs, not everything is perfect. But I always feel like to be part of a community, going back to your question, and how do I serve? And today I realize that my community is around the world. In that same investigation that I did, that I counted the hours, I counted and I was very sharp in zooming in into the profile of these people. So I would say that they are 90% women, and 100% of this 90%, meaning all of them, are powerful in their own way, in their own little communities, or impactful women. So basically I coach people that really, really, they are into running with what they learn. The people that are I don't even attract them, Carol. I don't even have to have them in my presence so that I understand that they're not for me. It's always people that are very keen to grow, and they are just like, okay, I'm the person for you, you know?
Definitely that sense of support we get from you as part of a community that you created with your clients, or even, as you say, in Bali, there's a sense of community that each other will help out regardless is your household or my household. This all share is communal. And I think that's what missing in nowadays, that everyone felt they are alone. Everyone felt that they have no support. There's no one there for them because we lost that sense of connection, lost that sense of community. How would you suggest people who are struggling with that place right now to reconnect with someone, reconnect with a community?
I think there's two ways of looking at that, which I don't think one kind of negates the other. One is really, and now I think with everything that has happened lately, we realize the importance of the other, of a physical touch, of a hug, of meeting people, or visiting and seeing elderly parents. Things that we thought like, oh, I'll call them tomorrow. You know, now you think like, no, I don't want to call them today. So even from my personal experience, like I work with clients online because now I'm based in Bali, and I've never done so many Zoom calls with my family, with all my family together in one call. It never happened. I'm an expat for 18 years now. It had never happened. So it's the blessing, like we said before, the metaphor of a flower. These are the beautiful moments, you know, that having that moment to reunite with people that we took for granted they were going to be there. You know, now that's something super nice. So the two folds in the story that the answer for you. One is creating that sense of desire of being connected to another human, and putting an effort to find that sense. And I think it doesn't have to be like, oh, let's say someone is feeling quite lonely, or they don't feel that they belong in the community they are in, or it's just starting from where you are. There are always, if you like to bake, there are the bakers in town. If you like to sing, there are the singers. If you like to do nothing, there are the couch potatoes also. And each to its own, nobody's right or wrong, but it's to put an effort to be open to find that, which is a physical, tangible thing, walking out of your way to make that connection happen, you know, spending time with people. Even, especially people that consider themselves quite self-sufficient, which in my perception is when you don't want to grow, stay by yourself, you know, it's easy. Now go get a boyfriend and see moments of great joy and challenge. This is the grinding. If you're not here for the grind, and I'm not saying that if you have a monastic life, you don't grow. It's for a different direction and a different speed, you know, like whenever we are living a very human life, which is not a spiritual, exclusive monastic life, the grinding will do the work for you. You know, you show up, the grinding will be there. So this is more on a physical connection, physical out of you. And the other way is to how are you community to you? Think about it. Inside of you, there's 10 million people. The kind, the yogi, the mother, the one that wants her freedom, the one that needs to make money. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm so many things, you know, and I'm the CEO of this company. And how is this company going? How is it doing? You know, when you sit in your own board meeting, how does it go? Who speaks more? You know? Lately, I sat with my HR department. I said, you have to fire people. These people are doing nothing for us here, right? So sometimes having this big conversation with yourself or separating, classifying these people, who's doing what for you? You know, it's like, this is not a corporation that you're going to run with people that were useful 20 years ago, but they're still there and you're paying them salary. Like, that salary is energy that you're giving to aspects of you that could go. They are very good. You just pay them a very good retirement fee. You honor them, put them a picture in the wall, bye-bye. And we kind of go for another direction.
So what I hear is that first we need to have that commitment that we want to connect, because I can easily say, oh, I'm so alone, there's disconnection, there's no community, and you just sit there and you do nothing. So that's not going to work for someone. If they really want to communicate or they want to connect, they have to step out of the house. Is that right?
It is, and I think there's a spin to that, which is sometimes when you're feeling very scared of that first step, it feels as if it's an impossible thing to do. You know, people can wake up committed to a gym practice or to diet every day, and there's a reason for them not to do it. So I always say to people, let's look on what's stopping you and what can take you there. You know, because they're the energies that pull you into different directions. Sometimes I'm not capable of giving that perspective immediately. So what stops you, push you this way, and what can take you there? And if I make this pull a little bit more than this one, you keep on doing this, which is already enough. Until we weaken up the what stops you, and when you notice the person is really flowing. Not necessarily it's going to happen immediately that this will stop completely and then you flow. It would be ideal, but I don't think that people conquer their fears and their resistances overnight. It doesn't mean you can't move though.
And as a coach, you help so many of us step out from that place as well, and claim our own commitment and claim our own responsibility in our life. But in a bigger scale, what would you like to offer to the world, like in a bigger scale?
You know, Carol, it's funny that you ask me, because everything that I have done for the past 2 weeks when I was doing a job related to exactly that was coming to terms to why am I here and what brings me joy. And it's basically breaking down everything that I have created in the sense of tools into something practical. That you can get that kit, be whatever, you know, being a mother, not being a mother, and just, it's not possible that from a toolbox, nothing is going to work for you, you know. And I'm working with desire. I want to work with people that have the desire of suffering less, feeling better, finding another way. And my mantra is, there is another way, we're going to find it. That's it. The fact that you don't know doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I think my gift to the world is I'm super curious. So I'm a book junkie. I read maybe books per week. And I'm thinking, how can this become a game? Because people don't like, if I say to them, look, this is the reference of the book I just read. It's just amazing. And they go like, yeah, what did the book say? They will not read the book. Right? People have different ways of learning. And what I do is like, okay, how can this book become a game? And how can I break this book into a story? And then they are like 7-year-old that while I'm talking, they're listening to the story. I'm thinking, okay, how does the story reflect you? So I think I became a master of making toolboxes, you know, and the toolbox is going to, you tell me what you want, we're going to fill the toolbox. And if this doesn't work, we can swap for something else. And like I said, the tools are different because everybody reacts differently, but the issues that we need the tools to work on, they are exactly the same. It's just which angle I'm going to get you, because you're not like everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so cool. I'm excited to wait and see your toolbox and your new project. And so come to a final part where we focus on you and who you are. I know that's a loaded question, so let's see what you're going to say. So tell us about who is Adriana? Who are you?
That's a loaded, super loaded question. And I think that's a question that I really never want to have a full answer to, because that means that that's it, right? When someone says, I am this, it's kind of like they have framed themselves and they become that. I would say that for now, you know, who I am being for now. I can tell you who I was and I can tell you who I am being for now. But I feel like for now, I am being, and I'm on the way of really understanding my role. And doing my role, I always did my role, but without the full understanding of impact. And I always think that in a way, because I was not aware of the impact I had, it kept me very humble. When you don't really know, you can't have any kind of, because you don't know, you're doing your thing. Yeah. And I think also, I didn't want to know because there's a lot of responsibility. With great power comes responsibility as well. Yeah. Yes. And now I'm more capable of saying, well, now I know the impact I have on this community. And now I understand why people want to call and want to talk. And I accept that. I accept that responsibility. And I really take it very seriously.
Because I feel that power in you, that I feel like you're ready to take on that power now.
So I think that I can at the moment accept that responsibility. I am embracing it. And I know for a fact, like, you know this because you've known me for 10 years. And every person that comes my way that says, can I help me with this? And I would say, yes. I never say to a client, I will not help you. I will not help you. Even if I sit with you and think, okay, this project doesn't really resonate with me, but I'll find someone else that the project does. And we're going to find, if I can, I will always do it. So just say yes. Say yes. Let's start saying yes and see what comes out of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's true. Like, I think we're so used to getting a lot of distractions and being pulled our energy and our attention to everywhere. And we just want to like close ourselves off and say, no, no, no. But I feel that after being isolated, or the self-isolation after the pandemic, is really a chance to us to open up and just say yes to everything. That's the way to change, I think, for us at this moment.
Yeah, and I think what you say is very true to me, in the sense that we start understanding that the current that flows under everything, you know, there's a deep current flowing under the story that we can't see. So if I believe that if I don't know about your pain, I don't feel it, that's a huge illusion. When we talk about containers, there's an energetic container that holds, I don't know, 7.5 billion people. What you think affects me. You know, imagine that every thought you have creates a little, imagine the vision of a cloud, and this goes, and clouds of the same nature bind. So when you look on top of countries or communities, they hold that density or that lightness around them. So of course, it's like, you know, like a web. If you pull the web down and we are connected, I'm coming down with you. And that's why I pray for people I don't know. For charity reasons and for selfish reasons. Because if you're not happy, I'm not happy. Yes. If there's someone suffering, I'm suffering. And I always say to people, look, if you don't have the charity in you, think about the selfish reason why you would contribute and why you would help. You know? Yeah. It might not come from the purest place, but you understand the sense of what you just said. Now, with so much segregation, we start understanding that if we don't find a solution for everyone, we are in trouble as a we. You know, if people are still sick in Africa or they're hungry, and then we're going to have the migration issue coming just now, what happens? Who's going to control those borders? How much?
Yeah. We have to be open up energetically and even physically, allow ourselves to welcome that energy connection that's flooding in. That's what I feel. And the ones that who's closing off and not allow yourself to open up, those will suffer the most. In learning about being mindful, because this is a moment where we all need to up our game in mindfulness, who's your greatest teacher in mindfulness?
I immediately came Eckhart Tolle. I read Eckhart Tolle since the very, very beginning. Like, my book is falling into pieces. I think it was the first time that I read something that I'm thinking, finally, it all makes sense to me. And it's a person that I think, of course, it's timeless. Like I told you, I read a lot. I mean, I'm this kind of self-development, it never ends. And I'm always curious to see how people, sometimes the story seems pretty much the same, but the delivery is very different. So you hear bits of the story that hit you in a different direction, and that's good for today or whatever. But I think for me, he's the guy, like, he's the new Jesus for me, that doesn't have the spiritual, the religious thing, but the spiritual strength behind his words. And it can be applicable for any religion, any person that can read that can understand. It's not for everyone, but I find that he speaks to people in a way that everybody feels things. You're very aware when you're angry, and maybe talking about pain body might be a bit advanced for some people, but you can break it down into language that's digestible for children and people that have no understanding at all. For me, he's the greatest guru.
I'm curious, how would you break it down, pain body to a children?
Yeah, because pain body is something that gets activated, right? So it's your own pain that gets activated by stories or moments. So we normally talk to children about pain body when they're not feeling it. So the questions are, can you draw it for me? How does your brother make you feel like? And it's a monster, it's like a crayon in red. And where does that live? They sometimes want to give it to the brother. They sometimes say it's here. So the next time they feel it, and I said, is that red thing there? And they say, yes. Can we take it out? They say, no. We can wait until it goes. Yeah, you just sit and wait. So it's making them at a very young age acknowledge that there's something that, why do they know it doesn't belong to them? The way that they talk, they know this is not part of who they inherited. It's not them. It's something that's visiting them. Said, okay, we don't need to stay with that guest. Sometimes you don't chuck guests away, do we? Sometimes we don't. So it's kind of like, okay, let's learn how to be friends with this. That sounds like an enemy and makes you extremely uncomfortable. And you have a lot of power over the situation. Sometimes you can't change, even us as adults. Sometimes things happen and make you very upset, angry.
Yeah.
And just that, I'm being visited by that energy.
Make it visible and something that can become tangible. Like the drawing suggestion is powerful. I think not only for 4 years old, but for adults ourselves, we can draw that energy when we're angry and draw it out to see where it is in our body and what it looks like.
In so many ways, like you talked about embodiment, we can draw, we can have it in clay, you can paint, you can express that anger through the body. Sometimes I say to people, show me your anger, and they are completely quiet. You expect something like with movement or punching or screaming, and they are quiet as can be. And this is anger for them.
Yeah.
So even for you to know that your angry self is very quiet, you have to know how your angry self looks like, and what does your angry self say? How does she eat? My angry self loves chocolate. When I go for chocolate, it's not a good sign. I know she's around. So all those hints of self-development help you to be more collected in moments such as, say, I'm getting very unresourceful now. And these are the moments that the conversation will stop,
What I see after a conversation here right now is that being a coach and what you do is helping people find who they are, because there's so many layers. And I remember when I first worked with you, I say that I felt like I'm an onion and I'm being peeled and layer one off another. And what you just talk about is so true. It's like you're helping people finding out who they are, being connected, understanding their angry self, their happy self. Like, and I feel that you are very aware of yourself as well. There's many part of you.
Yeah.
Which one do you choose to use the most?
The funny self, I guess. The funny self is and we develop those. Sometimes is an asset that you needed in childhood to pull up that character really strong. Or I have a diplomatic self that's always trying to find a way to make peace reign around things and people. So I think my diplomatic self has served me a lot. My funny self is one I love, because I think it helps me get difficult messages across. When we laugh, we relax. All my workshops, there's a lot of those moments when we are it's just made to be fun. It's made,
Yeah.
and these are the things that people remember more when they leave, what they learned from this laughing, tough moments. And sometimes it's not funny at all. Sometimes we're all crying and it's fine. But yeah, sometimes we develop those selves out of need, right? Survival skills as a child. We don't know. And it's nice to revisit them. And like I said before, when we're sitting with all ourselves and, you know, having a little chat with all ourselves, is to see how well they are doing and why are they still there, and do we still need them? Are they just a very organized defense mechanism that I'm holding on to just because?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you, Adriana. I love you so much. And you know, what you share with us today is so authentic. And everything you talk about it has to come back to, we need to understand more about who we are. And then you help us doing that is powerful. Thank you so much, so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great pleasure. I'm honored to be doing this, and I'm super happy to see how far you have came.
Thank you. Well, I hope you have a good day, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. I love your toolbox. I'm sure people who watch this video will gain a lot of ideas to practice self-awareness. So thank you, and hope I will see you again.
Soon around the world somewhere, somehow.
Yes.
Take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye. Okay, so I